It doesn't matter what your dreams and hopes and ambitions are. It doesn't matter if you have a new boyfriend or a new girlfriend or you've got plans for the future. You can forget those plans because you're going to wind up dead.
Oh, you're serious. Hello, everybody. This is Decayed Tapes. I am Miguel Myers, and the guy who's laughing at me is Max Booth the Third. And we are here to talk about shot-on-video horror movies. What?
So we have to fast forward for the listener. No, rewind for the listener. 5 or 10 seconds
Slow-mo for the listener.
Before I hit record, I said, okay, you introduce this one because I did it the last couple times. I hit record and you just looked at me and then said, oh, you feel serious. How would that be a joke? What's the prank that you see?
I can't imagine you giving anybody else the limelight. Your ego is so huge. You have a poster of yourself on the wall in the background there.
I do.
For people on Patreon.
I gotta get rid of this.
I couldn't imagine. No, I just wasn't prepared for it. And the thing is with mine, with my horror confessional, new episodes drop every Friday on the Ghoulish Podcast Network. I have a written thing that I know, and I read it literally every time. I don't memorize it. And so if I'm going to be introducing the show, I need to have a paragraph written already.
Wow, paragraph. I mean, how you have to write down, hello, my name is Miguel, you know.
Did you see what happened?
That postal
you saw what happened when I wasn't prepared.
It's a nightmare. Huh? The postal you reference that's behind me is a nightmare. So many times I'll be checking someone out at the bookshop because it's in the lobby of the bookshop for anyone listening, and they will look at it and go, "Is that you?" And I go, "Yeah." And then I quickly feel so embarrassed. I have to add a disclaimer. I didn't commission this. Someone just drew it and then mailed it to me. It's really cool, but I don't like the idea of me commissioning a poster of myself and then hanging it up. It's just something someone drew unsolicited, and it's pretty cool. But yeah,
I think if you commissioned a post painting of yourself in velvet, what is that, like crushed velvet? That would be dope. It's like from the 70s.
You talking about those pillows?
Yeah,
you move your hand, you make a little thing.
No, well, maybe it's just, I mean, I'm sure it is, but it's like a painting style from the 70s and 80s. It's like a black velvet background, and then they just paint on top of it, and it looks really luxurious, or quote unquote luxurious. I have one downstairs of these toreadores that I found that I really loved into my living room. And and then I had my dog Chente. Oh, sorry. I have Vicente Fernandez, who's Chente. He's a Mexican singer. He's famous worldwide. And I commissioned my dog Chente, who's named after him, to be commissioned in the same style. And I love it. It's amazing.
I don't think I've seen this. That's pretty awesome.
I'll take a picture, and you know what I'll do? I'll put it in the Patreon.
And what's the Patreon again?
Patreon.com/myhorrorconfessional. No.
Son of a bitch.
Decayed Tapes. Patreon.com/Decayed Tapes.
Today, we're doing something slightly different. Previously, people have listened to us talk about movies in English. Now, we're still going to be talking about a movie in English, but we will be using English to talk about a movie that was not English.
What are you talking about?
Are you okay? A German SOV movie is what I'm trying to get to. I was leading the audience to it eventually. A German SOV called Black Past, written, directed, and starring a man named Olaf Ittenbach. Is that correct? I don't have it in front of me.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Olaf Ittenbach. Also, he did all the practical effects. This guy is like a Swiss Army knife.
A German Army knife. It's German. He just said Um, this okay. I'm just gonna say this right away. This felt like a reel for somebody who was like trying to get in the industry and showing everybody what they can do with a little bit of story sprinkled in between. A little bit. I mean, a little bit of story.
So, were you not a fan?
Um, it's weird to say. I love that it exists. I love that I watched it. I loved a lot of the practical effects. It just got repetitive after a while. And like when you're taking notes, you're like, okay, then they get stabbed in the eye, and then they get stabbed 15 times, and then their head gets chopped off, and then it was just got a little repetitive. I do like a little bit of story in it, but it's still great. Like the effects are great. And for shot on video, the quality is really good. Really, really good.
Yeah. It's the first movie he made that at least came out that I know about. I couldn't find much about him online. He's made quite a few other movies. This was his debut movie. And I do think you were right. I think this was like his way of testing what he could do with practical effects. There's not much of a story. I'm sure you could sum up the entire plot in 2 sentences, which you will do now.
Tommy finds a cursed mirror and a diary in an attic in the new house they just moved into. The mirror starts to give Tommy horrible and gruesome visions as his crush keeps rising from the dead,
That's pretty
basically.
much it. I mean, we have
Yeah.
we have a lot of Tommy going to sleep, having a crazy fucking dream, and then waking up screaming. That happens a lot, and it does get a little aggravating.
Yeah, it's like we need some skin in the game. Something needs to happen. But I understand like being tortured and seeing all these visions. It just got a bit repetitive. Maybe it could have happened to somebody else or some story, something. Yeah.
This happens in a lot of movies. If someone wakes up screaming from a dream, you ever have that happen? I've never done that. Am I
I've never,
privileged?
well, I haven't. I know my wife has. She has
Ooh,
night terror sometimes.
doxil sleep habits.
So I know that, but yeah, I have never.
So she wakes up just screaming?
Not often. Maybe we've been together 16 years or something like that, maybe 2 or 3 times. So it doesn't happen a lot, but it has happened, yeah.
Yeah. Just screaming like is she
And it's
throwing
not it's
she's throwing a fist?
no fist, no. And she'll just like like that, or just like sometimes like she's been crying in her sleep, but that's weird. But yeah, she'll just like and then she'll wake me up and then I'll talk to her about the dream or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, not like um prolonged crying or yelling out like that sort of thing. No, but one little one and then waking up. Yeah.
Do you get many nightmares? Like, do you have a lot of scary dreams?
No, I don't remember any of my dreams. It's been a very long time. You want to know damn it. Fuck. I already started. Uh the saddest fucking story, my saddest fucking dream ever. I was like in high school and I dreamt that I had a girlfriend. I did not have a girlfriend at the time. I dreamt that I had a girlfriend. And I woke up and I was so happy that for the like next day, like I was like on cloud nine, I don't know, really, really happy, pretending that I had a girlfriend. It's the saddest
Yeah.
fucking thing ever.
That's not that sad.
It's
Yeah.
it's pretty sad.
You had a nice dream and you were happy about it. I don't really have
Yeah.
nightmares. I sometimes have like dreams. We'll say maybe I'm having an argument with somebody, then you wake up and it's like you're still mad. You'll I'll have a dream or something really
Mm,
nice has happened to me, like what you just mentioned. And then I'll
yeah.
wake up and realize it was just a dream, and then I'm pretty pissed off that it wasn't real, like say winning the lotto or something. It's like,
Yeah.
man, I thought that happened to me. It didn't. What a bummer.
I think for me, when I have like a nice dream, other than that one in high school, but when I have a nice dream that makes my day really good. But I've had, or Hillary has had dreams where her and I have an argument in her dream and she wakes up angry at me.
Yeah.
And it's always like, what are you talking about? You're angry. But then there's always that kernel of the reason why she had that dream.
Yeah.
And so then that gets sad.
You able to dream about me?
All the time, man. You
I don't
willing to
think
do something strange for some change?
I don't think I've had any dreams about you or any of my friends. I don't
Mm,
know.
yeah, I don't think so either. I wish I had.
Most of my dreams I don't remember. I don't sleep well. Do you sleep well? This is a sleep podcast.
Again, it's because you have two fucking dogs laying on you, Max. You have the ability to control this.
No, if they were just laying on me, it'd be fine. They'll fucking always like, we gotta go outside. Or my ball rolled underneath you as we were sleeping, and now I'm digging at your gut until you move. Frank likes to sleep, so he's the little spoon with me, and then his ball is like by his nose, just because he likes to keep track of it. Yeah. So we're talking about Black
Mm-mm-mm.
Past, a movie with no dogs that I could tell. Um,
Unfortunately.
let's talk about this prologue, which I technically watched like a week and a half ago and don't quite remember too much of it. So you
Hmm.
lead the way because
Sure.
I watched the opening, then we stopped, and then I continued it today. So I'm just kind of fuzzy on the prologue.
Yeah, it's really we see a man, and I think he's named later on, but I don't recall. But so first of all, it starts outside in a town, then it gets closer to a neighborhood, and then the house, and then it zooms in to a crucifix. Now we're in the interior of the house, and there's a man reading what I thought was a Bible, but I think maybe it was the notebook that's referenced later. And he looks in a mirror, and he looks like he has scurvy. He's not doing well. Like his cheeks are gaunt, like he has bags under his eyes. He looks fucked up. Um, like if like he looks like a character from The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari, if you've seen that.
I haven't.
Well, it's a great movie. But then a little girl walks outside and is feeding a dog. Oh, there was a dog.
I see. I was fuzzy in the prologue.
Yeah,
Told
yeah,
you.
yeah. She feeds a dog a plate of ground meats. And the poor puppy is chained up in the doghouse. And I was like, oh man, if something happens to this dog this early on in the movie, it's gonna be fucked.
You prefer
Uh,
dogs to die in the end? Is that what you mean?
yeah, yeah,
Nice.
that's what I like to see. But then we're back with this scurvy dude. He's having flashbacks or flashes, I should say, of like chopping the little girl in the face with a cleaver. And this is the first special effect we see or practical effect we see. And it looked really good.
Yeah,
What did you think?
I mean all of the practical effects in this movie looks it's like some of the best practical effects I've seen. Honestly, like nothing I thought looked, oh, this is stupid. This one specifically is great. It's a great head chopping, head impaling scene, whatever you would call it. Um,
Yeah.
there's also some stigmata stuff going on, if I recall, which was pretty cool. I've always wanted that to
Yeah.
happen to me, so that's neat.
I love that movie. I haven't seen it in a little bit, but I love Stigmata. Have you seen it?
This is a movie?
Yeah. Oh man, it's such a good movie
I
with
have no idea.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Robin
I know her name.
Williams? No.
No. Is that the
Um,
one where he's dressed up like a doctor with a nose? Patricia Arquette. Patricia Arquette. She
I don't
starred
know this
Patricia Arquette.
movie. Is it about someone with
Uh,
stigmata, I assume?
yeah, yeah. She gets stigmata, and then the church goes to investigate it, and it came out in 1999. So you were like negative 1 year old.
Well, not selling me on this
Um,
movie. Chilch? I don't know.
no, no, it's good. It's got Patricia Arquette, Gabriel Byrne, and then directed by Rupert Wainwright.
Who the fuck is that?
He's directed Blank Check, The Fog,
It's
2005.
sold. Blank check. Is that a
Blank
future
Check
episode?
is a great
No, it's
movie.
not Sean Video.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, Stigmata. I love that movie. And I love to like see Stigmata in a movie. She continues feeding the dog. We hear a scream come from inside the house. And then we see the dude. So now I know that the scream, because later on in the movie, the scream happens when he turns into that monster. So now inside this house right now, he's turning into the monster. And yeah, she gets him, he goes outside and with the very real meat cleaver. It looks like it's plastic or like made out of cardboard or whatever.
Oh,
And
so
just
you will being
cleaver right in.
sarcastic. I see.
I was being sarcastic, yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
And then the industrial rock music begins. This German industrial rock that they played throughout the movie.
Yeah.
Luckily at a low level that wasn't like in your face.
I didn't love the soundtrack for most of the movie, but there's a scene, my favorite scene later on, with the music, I thought was pretty kick-ass, and I'll mention that when we get to the scene. I'm sure you can
Okay.
tell what my favorite scene was, though.
I don't know. I don't know because it's so, are they scenes or like it's just like
What would you
different
call them?
setups?
Oh, that's it, as
Just
in a different
just
scene.
like no.
How do you
You're saying
define
this
a
scene, it's an
scene?
arms race.
We seen the movie. I seen the movie. You get it? Come on, man.
Yeah, no, I got it. I got it. So now it's present day,
Yeah.
Eastern Europe. This guy arrives in his car, bringing in a box. He's basically saying that they're finally moved in. Um, it was so I was so confused at the family dynamic here because there's the dad and then two women. They're not introduced to us as what they are for a very long time. The relationship is weird. We'll get into that in a second. So it's like one is a young bride and the other is a child. Like I don't know.
Oh,
It was really
I was also equally confused and spent half the movie just trying to decipher who people will. I finally
yeah.
concluded it was a dad, two sisters, and a brother. But you think one of them was a bride? It could be. I don't
No,
know.
no. You're right. Eventually, it came out that they're his sisters,
Oh,
but it
okay.
wasn't until like three-quarters into the movie.
Okay. I know they
Yeah,
mentioned at some point the mom had died before
yeah,
the
yeah,
movie
yeah,
began. It was really confusing. I should also mention we watched this on YouTube, which had English subtitles. And
yeah,
I think you also already said this, but the movie looks good. I mean, it's
yeah.
shot nicely. It felt like, besides the lackluster like storyline, it felt like a real movie. It was nice. I
Mhm.
mean, spoiler, I think this is my favorite movie we've watched for the podcast so far. I really enjoyed it. I have things I
What about
disliked
those
about it.
Michael Myers resurrection ones?
I would put this over those movies because I really
Okay.
love the practical effects in this.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. The practical effects are the best we've seen so far, and there's just so much of it. Upstairs we meet Tommy, he's just waking up. I thought he was so my first impression, like he sits up in bed and he's being covered by the cover, just like his groin area. And I
Yeah.
was like, oh man, this guy's like naked. He falls asleep naked. And then he immediately starts smoking, which is so gross to me. Just waking up and the smoking, nicotine. I was like, and then he stands up and I'm like, oh shit, he was naked. We
He
just get
was.
full on man butt in this movie, which I love because there's no, yeah, I love man butt. But because there was no female nudity in this movie that I can remember, right?
I
Yeah.
don't think
There's no
so.
there's no female nudity. It's mostly and it was mostly just this scene right here. Um and then I said like his mom question mark walks in on him naked. And I was like, maybe it's his stepmom, but that's a different Eastern European video
Yeah.
that I've watched recently.
You were
But
making
then
jokes I had already planned on making. It's his sister though. His sister keeps trying to. She comes in multiple times without knocking. She's trying to see his dick.
she's trying, and we see it later. I mean,
Yeah.
we
In my
see a
favorite
dick. Well, I don't
scene.
know. So like, yeah, she comes back in. I'm like, bro, she wants it. She wants it bad. It's his stepsister. I got, but he goes downstairs and just he's just like taking everybody's breakfast, and he takes his dad's coffee. A little bit of humor there. I like a little bit of like background for the character. Like he's like kind of like steps over people and stuff like that.
How how old do you think he's supposed to be in this movie? That was a question I had.
Well, you don't know because he's smoking. He's drinking beer like nothing. I mean, he's drinking alcohol like it's water. So he could be a 45-year-old man for all I know, like based on his activity. But I think, he's in high school. he's not in college. He's definitely not in college. So he's in high school. At the very least, he's 18 years old. I just
Yeah.
think it's different. It's got to be different in Germany, you know?
Yeah. What threw me off, well, all the reasons you said, but then we had like the dad threatening to ground him, and like the sister was like bringing him food to his bedroom like he was a fucking child. I couldn't put it together what was happening here. I don't know.
Yeah, it was weird. Man, but at the same point, I just watched Slumber Party Massacre with Jessica McHugh, and all those quote unquote teenagers were like 30 years old in the movie. So it's just you always see that sort of stuff.
Okay.
Um, thanks, Max. Appreciate it. So In's class, he's giving these googly eyes to a girl that we find out is Petra. Her name is never spoken out loud. The only reason I know her name is because of IMDb. And I'm guessing there because Petra might be his sister. But she's listed as the second, like in the cast. So I'm assuming that's Petra. Did you have
No
a name
idea.
for this girl? Yeah.
Crush. Secret crush.
Secret crush, right? So not
Yeah.
so secret because
Open
we'll see.
crush.
Yeah. So after school, he's hanging out outside with his friends and he gets beat up by these two guys that are just passing by.
Okay.
Just two bullies just beat the shit out of him.
I wasn't paying attention, and then suddenly he was being beaten up, and I didn't feel like rewinding. Was it just unprompted, like I think it was? He was just walking and he
Yeah,
got
it's
hit?
complete. I mean, they said something to him like, "What are either he said something to them or they said something to him about like, what are these assholes doing here?" Something like that, and then that was enough to prompt the ass kicking. And
What's so bizarre, I think, is we get this like setup, but then later on, once he's like demonized up, there's no revenge. Like he doesn't go and seek those bullies out. You think that would happen?
right, yeah, and it doesn't even like they don't use it to bring the girl closer to him because she does help him in the end, but we don't see anything like, oh, you should call me or something like that. It's just like you would help a stranger who just got beat up, you know?
I would not.
No, you wouldn't know because of your ego, your massive ego.
I don't want anyone to see me down. I have to be
Bending down.
standing. Yeah, like that's how you show weakness.
Like Principal Skinner, like when he was bending down, you see his butt. And
Yeah, fool me
yeah.
once. I have no ass. If I bend down, my pants will falling. It's not a great sight. Speaking
Folks,
of,
I've seen this.
uh, speaking of, this is it's related enough. I was at the shopping mall yesterday handing out promo for the book fest, and had to pee, so I went into the bathroom and I saw one of the funniest things any person can see in a men's bathroom. Doesn't happen often, but when you see it, it's like, oh, it's like a golden ticket. You know what that is? A man standing at a urinal peeing with his entire ass hanging out. Greatest thing to ever
The
see. I love it.
pants on the floor?
Almost. They were like by knee. So I don't know how. Maybe he was like clenching his knees. They were almost to the
Wow.
ground. It was a halfie.
Wow.
I it
Grown
was great.
man?
Grown man.
Grown butt from behind. I would assume you couldn't see his
I mean,
face.
I saw his face. I saw his head. He had
Okay.
a big old head. It was a man.
Okay.
Mid,
Wow.
middle aged, I would say probably. Uh,
I can't imagine going halfway through your life still doing that.
it's so funny. I love it.
I did that when my first day of kindergarten. I remember this. We had shared urinals, like shared bathroom, and I walked in not because that's how I pee when I was at home to
Yeah.
just drop your pants and pee. So I was the first to go into the bathroom and I just dropped my trowel and started peeing. And then all the other boys came in and like kept their pants up to pee. And I was like, oh, okay. I was so fucking embarrassed. I couldn't do anything about it. I had to finish the pee and then yeah.
That happened. It was a long time ago. I was with Dylan someplace, and he was still like, I don't know, 5 or 6 or something. And we were in some public bathroom. He had to go, so I just went, okay, go ahead. It's feeling around, all these grown men all pissing, and then he's standing there with his like pants completely off, just pissing. It was really funny.
I think that'd be hilarious if he actually took his pants off to
They were
pee.
just around his shoes, yeah.
Yeah. That's crazy.
Oh
All right.
God. I got fucking triggered like a PTSD flashback when I said his ass was hanging out. And I don't even know whose ass
Did
it was now. I forget what we were talking
It's
about.
fine. Did you, as soon as you saw the ass out in the urinal in the bathroom, did you just start smiling and giggling?
I didn't make a noise. I just felt happy inside.
I love that.
Then I left and I walked up to my wife and I said, "You know what? I pity you." And she was like, "What?" I said, "You will never know the joy of walking into a men's bathroom and seeing such a sight."
Now, would it be assault if, let's say, you were in a stall and you came out and you saw that and you washed your hands and he was still there and you just went slap and then ran out? Would that be
Yeah,
assault?
it would be
I
sexual
think you should be
assault.
allowed to do that.
No,
I think you should be allowed to do that.
if this is really, I have
No?
different. If this is really disagree. I don't
All
think you
right.
should touch
All right.
anyone anywhere in a bathroom.
Well, he assaulted my eyes with the picture of his lily white butt. I'm assuming his lily white, but he
It was
assaulted my eyes with
tan.
the. Okay. Well, that's not too bad then.
Yeah.
All right, scratch it. I don't
I'm not gonna
cut
scratch it.
that.
I'm not
I
gonna
I don't
slap
want.
it. I'm not cutting anything. We're not editing this. This is all in.
Fuck. Fuck. All right. All right. It's bad. Let me start talking about the movie before I
I
get myself
have
in
to
trouble.
say, you said the background you have for Zoom is the someone's severed head with an open mouth. And once in a while, your microphone comes back into visibility and it looks like it's deep throating that fucking microphone. It's pretty good.
That's sick. That's sick. Yeah, I see it. So his friend, so he got beat up, and his friends argue about why the fuck were we talking about a butt? I don't remember.
Because
Because at this point,
I didn't want
he
to
just got
bend.
beat up.
I said if someone got beaten up, I
Oh
wouldn't bend down
yeah.
because someone might see my butt.
Yes. All right.
Yeah.
Good. So at this point, he got beat up. His crush Petra helps him. His friends argue about why either one of them didn't help him out, which just I love that part. Later at home, he changes and he's looking at this girly magazine and he gets caught again. One of his sisters walks in to him, looking at this Playboy magazine or whatever. It's his friend Frankie. He's called him for a sleepover. He's gonna come hang. And he goes upstairs in the attic to look for the guest bed. And there's some creepy music here, which was kind of cool. And he finds a chest, a locked chest, and he tries to reach in, but is unable to get anything. So he goes downstairs and comes back with a bolt cutter and breaks the chains. In there, he finds a book and a mirror, same ones from the prologue that we saw. Do you remember all this?
I do, yeah. And I also, like you, thought in the prologue he was reading a Bible. That's what it looked like, but I guess it's like just some notebook.
It might have been a Bible, but yeah, from what I recall, uh, from what I recall is Bible, but it might have been a notebook, but who knows?
Would it be two
Um,
different books? That would be crazy. That wouldn't
yeah,
make
it
any
could be.
sense. Why would that be?
You said it, not me. Fucking getting angry at me for.
I'm just saying, it doesn't make any sense.
Why would that be? I don't know, man. You said it.
I'm sure it's just like a notebook he was because we will find out. I mean, it's handwritten notes in this book.
This
Definition
is
of a
basically
notebook,
like the a German Evil Dead, essentially what
100%.
this is.
It's a
Yeah.
bit, it's mostly that. There's a lot of demons in it, which is why I'm wearing my demon's hat. There's a
Yes,
little
love
bit
it.
Nightmare on Elm Street going on. Three movies I
Mhm.
love. And obviously the dude who made this also loved those movies, and he wanted to make like a little fucking film showing off what he could do with practical effects, I guess. I mean, there's really not much plot here.
I mean, for a first movie, and we've seen some first movies, I feel fairly recently. I think like Sledgehammer was the first movie, and this is better, way better than Sledgehammer. So yeah. Um, so later his friend Frankie comes over and they hang out, they're drinking beers, and they start reading from the book. And some of the stuff he says is like reality might not exist. I pray to God for help, but he does not listen. And then he says like, um, I killed my family in the most horrific of ways. And then he's like, destroy the mirror.
Hmm.
And Frankie and Tommy are like, oh, it's just like in a crappy horror movie, right?
Ha ha.
And then he ends up hanging the mirror on the wall. At first, it was just like on the floor. Now it's hanging up in the wall. Have you seen Mike Flanagan's Oculus?
Yes, I have.
Okay. And then there's also that movie Mirror Mirror. So like
I think I've
two
seen
horror
that.
movies dealing with mirrors. Yeah.
Was that Keith
Um,
Sutherland in that movie?
in Mirror Mirror, I don't recall. I think that's like too high profile of a
Keith.
name.
He's not that big of a name. His dad now. Now that's an actual.
No, Karen Black was in it though.
Hmm. All right.
Karen Black, Yvonne DiCarlo, Williams Henderson. God, I love Karen Black so much. She's so good in it.
Who the fuck is
But
that?
yeah,
Who the fuck is Killing Black? The single
Karen
from
Black.
the Yeah Yeah Yeahs?
What are the yeah yeah yes?
It's a band that you and I have had a conversation about in person.
Okay, sick, dude. She was in. You know what? Okay, who you're gonna know her as is Mother Firefly in House of a Thousand Corpses.
Oh, okay, yeah, I know who you mean.
Yeah, but she's an amazing actress. She's been in movies from since the 60s and 70s. Um,
I just
yeah,
didn't recognize the name, but I know who you mean now. Yeah.
yeah. So anyway, so I was just thinking like this has like a long lineage of like horror movies dealing with mirrors, and like I always think that sounds silly, but like the movies that they incorporate them into, they're really good. Like I really like Oculus, I really like Mirror Mirror, and I really like this one.
I always find it silly. I'm never
Do
into
you still
it.
find it silly? No,
Yeah.
not not even in this one.
Yeah, I mean it's the weakest pill of the movie, I think, is that. I also don't like Oculus that much. I don't know. The only like cool scene with one of these I've ever seen is fuck you, what is it called? Poultrygeist. Well, that guy's fucking face melts.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's
So
pretty
fucking
good.
good. And that I would rate the practical effects in that one comparable to what we see in this movie.
Definitely. A lot of face
Yeah.
melting.
Yeah, a lot of face melting. Okay. So he's like they're like, oh yeah, just like in this crappy horror movie, he puts up the mirror, then Frankie's like, oh, the demons are gonna start slapping our asses. And I was like, that what does it mean? But then I thought maybe he's talking about Haxon, because in Haxon, the silent film, the demons like are slapping each other's asses and stuff like that. And that's a very
Oh,
it's not a
what?
German film, but you've never seen Haxon?
No.
It's so good.
Why are they
Dude,
doing that? Is it like a good
a Black
game?
Mass. It's a Black Mass. Sorry, do you know what a Black Mass is?
Oh yeah.
So they're performing a Black Mass and they're making a mockery of the ritual, and so they're like kissing the devil's ass, literally like the devil's there and they're kissing their ass, they're slapping each other's asses. It's wild. It's great. I
When
love
was it
that movie
made?
so
Like the
much.
20s?
Yeah, like 1923 or something like that. It's great to have on in the background, like if you have an event at Ghoulish Books, and you're gonna have the projector on, just having it in the background, it's good.
That's a good
And I would
idea.
love to actually show it maybe for Halloween this year. I think that'd be a lot
Why
of fun.
Halloween?
I picture it as like a Halloween movie, but yeah,
Oh,
it could be anytime.
I mean, it's a spooky bookshop, man. We do spooky
Yeah, that's
movies
true.
every month.
Every month, every last Saturday of the month in San Antonio, Texas, down at Ghoulish Books.
That's right, baby. Free to the public
Yeah.
because no one buys tickets.
So at night, um after like passing out, they're watching movies, which I remember hanging out with my friends, like watching movies, and like they wouldn't sleep over, but like into the night. And that was really cool. That was one of like my favorite memories. So like I really felt this. I was like, yeah, that's cool.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Will these friends you dreamed you had? Little theme
Yeah.
reel.
Max, I wish you could just let me have, like, I dreamt up a girlfriend already, so I'm dreaming up friends as well. Yeah.
I'm just trying to get clarification for the listener at home. That's all I'm trying to do as one of the
I'm just a
co-hosts.
sad little man. Hillary is real though. You've met Hillary.
Who?
All right.
So
So,
the friends, they do like a bet, right? Like, oh, that woman you're always talking about, I bet you 50 whatever the fuck money is, that you won't ask her out on a date. And he's like, you're on. And then we cut to like what, them at a zoo?
yeah, that was so weird. Like, he's like, "Oh, I want to," like, just like you said, "Oh, I want to date her. I want to, she's so cute, whatever." And then it's like, "I dare you." And immediately they're on a date, all lovey-dovey already, like if they've been dating for months now.
Yeah. And you could tell like
Very
they
strange.
definitely didn't have permission to shoot at this public zoo. It's a real zoo and it does not look safe, to be honest. Like those like a what was like a gorilla or like a black bill like within like arm's reach of the public I saw. I thought that's not
Yeah.
safe. Things were different in the 80s, I guess.
One thing I wanted to mention before that happened was that Tommy has his first dream where he gets killed by um Petra, who like is in this like black leather dress and walks up to him, just pulls out a gun and shoots him right in the middle of the forehead.
Yeah, that's right.
That was a great effect. Pretty good
What
effect.
what
Yeah.
was the effect? She shot that man. He's dead.
He's really dead. Yeah. That was the last scene that was shot from the movie.
Yeah, that was stupid. I don't know why I said that.
It's cool. So
I'm
then
just as
we get
embarrassed
this.
as you now.
I don't think that's possible.
What? Go ahead. Sorry.
Next. So we get this voiceover of Petra who's telling the story of this man named Binder who like 100 years ago um, locked his son in the basement and let him starve because he thought that he was possessed by a demon. And he would like look in the mirror, and every time he'd look in the mirror, he would get smaller and smaller. It's like this is the background of this. This is as much um plot or the reasoning why we get in the movie there here
I
with
missed this
very little.
entire little conversation. I have
Yeah.
no idea what you're talking about.
Well, because you missed it because it's voiceover while they're in the zoo, being all lovey-dovey.
Oh,
So
okay.
like you were probably focusing on that, which I did, I was too. And then I heard something about like demon. I was like, wait, what the fuck? So I had to rewind it to listen to that voiceover. So
Yeah.
that's when, but yeah, it is her saying that.
Oh, I was completely focused on the animals. I wasn't reading any of the text.
Yeah, you were touching yourself to the animals again, weren't you?
Just my nipple.
Just no. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. So sometime later, Petra comes over for dinner with his family.
Yeah.
Okay, I think you're referencing the or reacting to the same thing that I'm referencing. So let me just get it out real quick.
Yeah.
They go to his room to make out. And she says, "Oh, like let's clean up your room, whatever." He's like, "That's fine, but I have to eat first." So he leaves his room to go eat dinner with his family, and she stays in his room to clean it and does it. So this is actually a thing. I don't know if it's specifically in Europe, or I mean, in Germany, but it blew up on Reddit or maybe Instagram on social media a couple years ago, where this European was like, if you're at home, if you're at my house when my family is having dinner and you're a friend, you're not invited to eat. You'll put yourself in another room or something like that. And then he's like something like, "Oh, Americans just wouldn't understand." And then everybody was like, "What the fuck are you talking about? You don't feed your guests if they're there while you're eating?" It was so strange. And then I to see it here, I was like, "Holy fuck, I've heard about this."
So just one guy posted about this.
Yes, and
Okay.
perhaps there was somebody like maybe there's some people in the comments that were like, "Yeah, this is what we do." But and in fact, there was that. There were some people like, "Yeah, he's right. This is the custom." Not that I agree with it or whatever, but that if you're at a friend's house when they eat, they will eat dinner without you and not invite you.
Yeah. I when you said that it might be like something they do. I thought you were referencing bringing back a woman for sex and then tricking her into just cleaning your house. Because they will going at it like they will about the fuck, and then she made some comment about the jildiness of the room, and he was like, "Should we tidy up instead?" And they just stopped like cold turkey. And then he said, "Well, while you do this, I'm gonna go eat." And he just goes and sits down and begins fucking having a meal. It's so funny. I love that scene.
Yeah, it's so strange, but I think that's just their custom. Very, very weird custom. Like, as the guest there, what do you like? I know she's cleaning, but like, what if you're hungry? Like
Yeah.
you just be like, ah, just gonna. I would be so pissed. Like that person comes back to the room and just doesn't bring me a little snack or something, especially after I'm cleaning your room, you asshole.
I think that I think I've had that happen with one of my friends I would go and hang out with. He would sometime I feel like this, yeah, he would have to stop playing, eat dinner, and I would just like be waiting until he finished. And then he would finish and we would just continue playing. I never thought much about it though. It was just that
It,
one family.
in their house, like,
Yeah. Yeah, like we would play video games in his room.
huh,
Oh.
that is strange. I think it's different. Like if you made a habit of it and like you were there 5 days a week and you're like, listen, I can't afford to feed a kid another
Yeah.
mouth every day or something like that. But every once in a while, like you're not going to give a child food. That's really weird.
It was definitely I was over a lot because he had video game systems. So
Okay. Well, yeah. So I
yeah.
looked it up real quick what you're saying, and it's apparently it's Swedish. It's a
Oh.
Swedish tradition, but like we're seeing it here as well. And this is
The
a German movie.
the tradition is not letting your friend eat with you.
Custom, I guess not tradition, custom. Yeah.
Still, I mean, that's just seems so funny that it's something like someone actively practices. Like, oh, come over, but then you have to sit in a different room as we eat.
Yeah. And he basically says the person I'm reading, they wrote a article on the Independent. It's like, yeah, I didn't mind. I would just continue playing in their room while they were eating. It's customs, man. Customs are different in different countries. It's just really weird. Really weird. So this is where we find out that they're both his sisters, and they're
Mhm.
just like they're both of his sisters are like shit talking his girlfriend. Like, where'd you find that whore or something like that? And I was like, damn, man, she's in there cleaning his room right now.
I think one of them says you're too young to have sex, but it's like, is he though? Because I'm pretty sure he's old enough to rent a vehicle.
Yeah, he's smoking and he's drinking, and one later on in the movie, he downs a whole bottle of alcohol basically before he goes to school. So I think he's okay having sex. It's fine.
Yeah,
But back in his room with Petra, like the mirror and the room starts shaking, and then it flashes. He goes to check on Petra, who's like walking down the stairs really slowly. And he's like, "Are you okay? Did you smoke something from my bag?" And she says, "I'll be right back." And she walks out. Now, do you remember what happens here?
I
Because I
do.
thought what happens here was really creepy.
Yeah, she walks out into traffic and just like gets hit by a girl.
Yeah, but before that, she walks out of the house and her eyes are rolled back
Mm,
to the back of her head and her mouth is wide open and it's just like black
yeah.
and her face is sheet white. I thought this was a really effective. To me, this was probably the most effective scare or whatever. And I love blood and gore. Absolutely love it. But I love like subtle things as well. And this was really subtle and really, really fucking creepy. And as soon as I saw the image, I was like, oh wow, that was really striking. So I really enjoyed that part.
Yeah, I loved it. And when I saw it, I wrote down, oh, this movie is going for like a Deadite type of thing because it did remind me of like the Deadites
Yeah.
makeup.
Yeah, like is it Linda from the first one? Is that his girlfriend with
Linda, yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. She's like looks like a baby doll or whatever.
All of
Yeah.
them will name Linda, I think, right? Isn't that like the running joke?
I don't recall. Maybe in the second one they were also named Linda. I don't recall. But I had to we will you and I have talked about the Evil Dead franchise. It's one of the best franchises out there, even with this last one, which was just okay.
I didn't like it that much. I was disappointed because until then I thought it was a perfect franchise. That new one, didn't love it.
Evil Dead is playing tomorrow, Terror Tuesday, and the tickets have been not Evil Dead. I'm sorry. Army of Darkness is playing tomorrow, Terror Tuesday, and tickets have been sold out for months.
Yeah.
And I snoozed, and now I'm regretting it. I've seen it a billion times, but I
Come
haven't
down.
seen it on the big screen.
Let's watch it at the shop this month.
Well, what is March? I don't think we have anything listed. It might be a thing.
Yeah.
Let's talk it out.
Now?
So no. Let's fit. Hey, you know what? Yeah, let's set the rest of the schedule for the rest of
No,
the year.
no, no.
So but like you said, she then steps out into the road and gets hit by a car. The ambulance arrives and tries to save her life, but she flatlines. Like almost immediately, like later on that night, he's just like burning a picture of her. It's like, yep, well, gotta forget about that and move on, buddy.
That's how you grieve. Uh,
Agreed.
then we get like a slow, sad walk through the cemetery. And it's difficult to tell how much time has passed by. It seems like it's the same day almost, but surely that's not true. So I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, it's basically a music video. So what I put it, maybe I don't know where I put it in my notes, but basically, like with Sledgehammer, where they did a lot of slow-mo, with this, they didn't do slow-mo, which I appreciated, but they just had really long scenes that meant nothing.
Hmm.
Like this is a music video at a cemetery, is
Yeah.
basically what it was.
The movie's like what, like 85 minutes, but honestly, it could still be cut because it does still feel really long in some segments, and it shouldn't feel a movie like this. But many times I kept checking like how much time was left in the movie because it felt like it had been going on much longer than what it was.
Yeah. Um, so do you want to take it from here? Do you remember what happens next?
Yeah, so my obviously I don't. I have my note says home glass breaking, but I'm not
Uh-huh.
sure what that reference is. You
It's pretty
must.
good. It's pretty good. It says so at night in his room, there's a blinding white light, and that it just explodes the beer bottle, makes all the beer bottles in his room explode.
That's right.
But then nothing comes of it. As far as I was aware, nothing comes of that. But later his sister delivers some food, like you were saying,
Yeah.
and he didn't like the taste of that. And he starts getting flashes of monsters with sharp teeth, him on the floor, bloodied, and him swinging a blunt object. More shots of like skinned faces, bloodied faces, guts falling out, eyeball violence, jaws being cut in half, like just really disturbing images. And what I liked is that all these images will be seen later in the movie.
Yeah. It was cool because it could easily just be, random things that won't come back, but they do. It's not just, oh, I'm seeing crazy shit. He's actually having visions of what is to come, and that
Right.
is
He just doesn't
cool.
know it yet. Yeah.
I
Yeah, I
do
agree.
love because I think now he wakes up, right? He wakes up to like a screeching noise. Is this
Hmm.
when this happens? Like the house is it's like flooded with fog, a little smoke or something, and he begins like walking around. And he goes
Yeah.
outside, I guess. He
Yes.
finds a baby carriage like just moving by itself. And then we look inside and this fucked up baby with both of its eyes bleeding out and it's just screaming and then its head falls off, which was pretty cool.
Hell yeah. Very reminiscent of the baby and It's Alive. Have you seen that one?
No, it
It's a
reminded me of the baby in Dead Alive though.
Oh yeah, 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 that too. Yeah, good call. It's Alive is about a like this monster mutant baby.
Mm,
Larry Cohen directed 1974. Very fun movie. But yeah, also Dead Alive. Or what's the other name for Dead Alive?
brain dead.
Brain Dead. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And then the
So
baby like what? Like just bursts into flames? The guy Tommy is just looking like what the fuck?
yeah,
Like whose baby was that, do you think?
no idea, no idea. And Petra shows up and like she's in this like long flowing robe or whatever, but covering her face, and then she takes it off and she's in the same clothes that we saw her in, which is it was a little bit funny.
Yeah.
And then she tries to kill him with a knife, but he grabs it from her and stabs her in the neck. And then he kicks her in the junk, Like
It's pretty good.
it's pretty good. And then he picks up a stone, a huge boulder kind of thing, above his head, drops on her head. Great
Explodes.
splatter. Yeah.
I mean, it's really, I mean, we mentioned it already, but this is straight out of like Sam Raimi's playbook. I mean, this whole fight scene's really comical, lots of gruesome violence, and yeah, the head explodes, but like a second later, she's back already. The head's fine, and she's attacking him again, and like those like a drawn out fight scene that happens again, right? And then he does he like shoot a face with a shotgun or something? I don't know how he got a fucking shotgun. His boomstick. I don't know where he got that from, but suddenly he had a shotgun and he's just shooting people.
Yeah. He does go inside, get the shotgun, and he does shoot her right in the face, which she shot him earlier in the face. So that was really cool. Um,
Oh, he also takes the axe and like cuts every limb off full body, and then each limb is like moving by itself. That was pretty cool.
yeah, that was really cool. And that's like Return of the Living Dead, which was really cool.
Neville
And
saw it.
you have seen that, you bastard. Then he continues just like chopping away at her. And this was one of the images that we first saw in his visions. And then he chops her in the, I don't think it's a groin on a woman, but in the private area, which I thought was kind of unnecessary.
Why?
That
Why was that unnecessarily?
like literally like in
Yeah, say it.
the P word, in the P word. Listen, I'm not trying to get demonetized off of YouTube when this goes up.
We don't we don't get paid on YouTube, man.
Yeah, well, all right.
Nothing we talk about on this podcast is going to make it through YouTube's algorithm. It's well doomed. It reminded me a little bit of what's that movie called? Bone Tomahawk. There's a similar groin splitting in that movie.
Man,
Reminded me
that
of that.
movie was so fucking brutal. I
Yeah.
For some reason, like I didn't want to watch that movie. So I was like, I don't really care about like westerns or whatever. And then I just randomly watched it because it was showed up on some horror list, and I was like, this is a horror movie, and it was so fucking brutal and so good.
Yeah. I'm a fan of that guy's movies. Um,
Yeah. But here he chops off her head, and then she or the demon, whatever, says, "Tommy, you bastard, I'll get you." And this is when he leaves the barn. He shoots Petra's face off. He wakes up. It was all a dream. Mans is wearing a G-string or something. It's like a Speedo.
I wasn't sure. I thought the same thing though. It was
Yeah.
really odd looking. But I mean, I think that might be a
Sexy.
European thing, maybe.
Yeah. But I can't imagine like that's too tight. You got to let him breathe, you know?
I
I
like
don't
this.
know.
I like the
Cup,
constriction.
the cupping, well, that's messing with your sperm count, man.
I don't fuck with math.
Oh, okay.
Stupid. But as he's laying in bed, there's like a laughing noise by his feet. And he takes the blanket off, and the head is in bed, just laughing. And then she's like, "What did she say? Like, you have to destroy it, you
The
idiot,
mirror.
Tommy."
Yeah.
And he wakes up again. This is I was getting a little annoyed with the constant waking up.
Yeah. And he dumps beer on his face. This is where he goes to breakfast and just chugs the liquor bottle. And the father's like, I have to do something with it. He's grounded. And then he's like, can I stay home? He's like, no, you got to go to school. You just saw him take a bottle to the head, to the face, and he still went to school. Um,
You ever go to school drunk?
no, no, never.
No,
Did you?
I not school, but like jobs, yeah.
Jobs? You went to jobs drunk?
Yeah, yeah.
Trying to think if I went either ever high or drunk or I've definitely gone hungover. But no, I don't think so. I never had
Um
like I had office jobs and I couldn't like show up drunk.
I was a overnight grocery style at the most popular fucking franchise and
Walmart.
yes. And
Who the fuck are
I
you trying to save here?
I was extremely drunk trying to stock like pet supplies, and I spilled so much pet food. It was awful, but no one seemed to notice. At the hotel, I would actively just drink on shift.
Just
It's
hating your life, just like
well, so
chug
I
up.
would usually hang out with the 3 to 11 shift guy. He would hang out after all. We would just drink and then go up to the roof and throw stuff off. It was a great time. We would buy pumpkins around Halloween and just toss them off the roof. It made a great noise. It was awesome.
Who's cleaning that up?
Fuck if we know. The maintenance guy who we
Poor maintenance
hated.
guy is like, oh no, it happened again.
We would take apples and try to hit like the other hotel across the way. Neville would come close.
Yeah, I was thinking you were overestimating the cannon that you got.
Yeah. It was a nice gig before they put the cameras in.
Yeah, because they kept complaining about cars
Fucking,
being damaged by apples and fucking the grounds people are like, where are these pumpkins coming from?
it sounded like an explosion when those pumpkins would hit the ground, man. It was so loud.
Imagine committing suicide and hearing your head hit the pavement. I think that would sound.
I would go, oh man, someone just threw a pumpkin off the roof and go out as a fucking man. That would
And then
suck.
you'd be finding teeth everywhere for days.
And how would we get the ice bucket out?
Indiana Death Song.
Nobody knows what we're talking about.
All right.
Okay. He's drunk. He's walking around, plagued by these violent visions. He's back home. Nothing really important happens. He goes back home. He smells his sweater. He makes a disgusting face. He takes it off. He leaves the undershirt he had on. He puts on a second sweater, walks into the bathroom, and then immediately takes it off. What was the purpose of this other than to extend the run time?
Yeah, exactly. That's what it was. And you're saying a lot of stuff we could just pass over, but one thing I did want to see is he did have at this point um he does have visions of drills of kneecaps being drilled, saws to the faces, like crazy bloody great looking stuff. His sister getting stabbed multiple times. And then at home he pulls out the journal again and he throws it at the mirror and but it immediately catches fire but doesn't burn. So I just wanted to mention that. Um, and then we're at the point where he's like smelling his armpits, like you said. Then he goes to shave. Do you remember this scene?
I do. It's fucked up.
Yeah. So actually, it's kind of similar to the scene in when did Poltergeist come out?
80s, I think.
Yeah. Go ahead and say what happens
So
here. I'm
yeah,
looking.
he's like looking at himself in this reflection, and then he just looks at his razor and begins cutting his flesh open in various places. I mean, he takes a straight razor to his eyeball, and I can't handle eyeball stuff. It fucks with me, and I screamed. I was like, ah, it's like waking up from a dream. I was like, ah.
There's a
That's
lot of eyeball violence in here. Yeah, Poltergeist came out in 82. This came out in 89. So he probably took some uh, reference from that or whatever. But
Man, I love that movie so much.
Poltergeist,
It's such a good movie.
it's a really, and is it like PG-13? It is PG. That's a PG movie.
I think so.
Um,
It's
but like,
just to talk about that for just a second,
yeah,
because when will we talk about that on this podcast? Never.
never.
I just love like the whole family in that movie. I mean, it's such a good cast and it's so well written. And like, what other movie like that from the 80s would you see like a mom and dad just casually smoking weed together? And like, that's not like a plot point. Like,
It's
usually,
not
if you saw,
demonized.
yeah, I've always appreciated that. But
Yeah, they,
I do not approve of drugs though. So,
yeah.
yeah,
But it did seem like they actually loved each other and they loved their kids. And it was a father who believed his wife.
yeah,
I mean, a husband who believed his wife immediately, you know.
yeah.
It wasn't like these other movies where like the wife is experiencing these hauntings and the husband's like, "We're gonna put you in a mental institute, honey," like that sort of thing, which is something I really appreciated in the movie.
Mhm. And I love how they don't immediately get spooked. Like they do what anyone would do. They like do these experiments and they have like fun with it, like with move like pushing the kid across the
Chairs.
kitchen and stuff.
Yeah,
Like
that's a
that.
fun scene.
Yeah, I want to
Yeah.
watch that now. Let's
Let's
stop
watch
this
it at
podcast.
the
We should. Let's do that this
watch it at
month.
the shop. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So then we do but just to go back to the razor Shane, I think we've talked about this in the past, but I used to before I shaved my beard, I used to line myself up with a straight razor. And I always get so anxious about it. And I check like 3 or 4 times to make sure I'm on the right side. Like I run my finger up against it before I put it to my skin just to make sure. So, because I'm terrified of exactly what he does here. Like he slices his face open, his hand open, his tongue, the neck, the eyeball.
You think that's what happened to you? Like,
Well,
oh, my fucking tongue is cut
the
open
cheek.
now.
Listen, have you ever cut yourself with a straight razor?
I've never used one.
I've cut myself with a straight razor on my finger,
Yeah.
and even in my hand, and it is so sharp that it cuts. It's like it's ridiculous. It cuts so quickly, and the blood like just splurts. It's crazy. So I'm very careful with it.
It's
But
kind of like cutting through butter then, right? Like a
yeah,
smooth.
like they say, exactly.
I
Yeah,
had that happen to me with on my wrist. I don't know if you've seen, I had like a pretty fucked up skull like in the side of my wrist. Um from moving one of those giant knights of like in shiny armor, like with the sword and the shield. I was
yeah.
moving one of those and the tip of the shield did that to my wrist, and it was like super quick and clean. It felt no pain at first. I just looked down at
Oh,
my hand and suddenly this line of blood just appeared. It began gushing out. It was awful.
yeah. I remember you telling me that story.
Yeah.
That is so fucked up. That's exactly what it. Yeah. So I'm very careful with that. But with the eyeball, do you know what he was referencing there? Um,
Mm.
Unchen Andalu. Have you seen that before?
What's that?
Unchen Andalu.
I don't know what that is. No. Is that a movie?
Yeah,
What's the
it's like
English translation?
I think it means an Andalusian dog. Unchen Andalu. It's 1929, and it's Salvador Dali. It's written by Salvador Dali, directed by Luis Buñuel.
Hmm.
And if you know Salvador Dali, he's a famous artist, and
I'm a
Luis
fan of
Buñuel.
his clocks.
Yeah, there you go. And in it, they have a scene. It's really quick. It's like 16 minutes. But the most famous scene of it, even it's on the cover, is of a man slicing a woman's eye with a razor blade, with a straight razor blade. And it for 1929 looks amazing. But how they did it, the practical effect was fake face, well, real face switched to fake face, and behind the fake face, behind the eye, they put a like a sunny side egg up, or like a fried egg, and then they sliced the egg, and the yolk that came out, that was the blood, or
Plus, it
that
was
was the
black and
eyeball.
white,
It
right?
was
So
black and white.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's
looks
cool.
great. Yeah, so you should look that up. Just that one scene,
Now I
but
want
anyway, that's
eggs.
that's what I was
Yeah.
thinking when he did this. But of course, he wakes up.
Always with the waking up in this fucking movie.
Yeah, listen, we're done with it. And then so it kind of ramps up here. Frankie calls him. He wants to go see a movie. They reference it a bunch of times. Like, I don't know the joke, but double fistwurst. It was like, oh, we just saw Double Fistwurst 2, and now
Two.
Double Fistwurst 3 is out. They want to go see it. Here he hears Petra's voice again. He dreams about being by water, and then she shows up in this like black, skimpy leather outfit. And she tells him it's just a dream. But here he lays back and he has more visions, skinned bodies, torsos.
This this is my favorite scene.
This right here.
Yeah, this because it's just one room. It's not like quick flashes of different scenes. It's
Right.
one scene in this room, but like the surgical thing is happening, and it is just the most fucking crazy practical effects like violence I've ever seen in any movie, I think. There's so much going on, so many like disemboweled bodies twitching, and it looks so fucking realistic and just it's nuts to me. The few notes I made for this, uh, the syringe to the eye. So she takes a syringe to, I think, Tommy's eye, and then sucks back like the eyeball blood juice into it, which was great. And there's also some little eye cutting stuff going on, I think. And oh yeah, she takes his dick and nails it to a piece of wood, which is pretty cool. And
And then
lots
chops it
of
off.
does she?
Yeah, she chops off the dick afterwards.
Nice.
Yeah.
I don't think that was
Um,
a real dick.
it looked pretty good.
Yeah.
As dicks, if we're judging dicks, it was a pretty dick. It was a 7 or 8 dick.
Not enough dicks in SOV movies so far.
Yeah, so far. But for me, I know you said you love this, and I like this. It felt to me, it felt like a high school haunted house. Like they're
Yeah.
like, oh, look at all the crazy stuff we got going on here. We
I
got
was
a
into
mad,
it though.
we got a mad scientist over there. This guy
Yeah.
he's disemboweled. There's heads hanging from the ceiling. Like it felt pretty. Here's a word I've always wanted to use. It felt pretty pedestrian.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah.
All right.
Listen, I am a connoisseur. No, but I liked it. I
Wow.
enjoyed it here, but it was just a bit,
I
you know.
well, I think even the music in this scene helped. I mean, it just felt like a cool, like nightmarish scene in hell to me. I don't know how else
Mhm.
to describe why I liked it.
Yeah,
But obviously you didn't, and I do not respect real opinion, and we
I
will move
did
on.
like it. I did like,
He did wake up again after this, which was
of
fun.
course.
I'm sure you like that, Bill. He tries to attack this cursed antique hanging from his wall, and like it shocks him, I guess.
Yeah,
What does
repels
it
him.
does it like suck the demon juice into him or something? Because after that he begins transforming.
Well, he vomits and he looks terrible like the dude in the beginning.
Uh-huh.
And I thought he was going to do some sort of werewolf transformation,
It's
carnivorous lunar
practically what he
activity.
does.
Yeah, because the long nails start coming out of his nails. He tears his face off. It's
Yeah.
very much like Face Off starring Nick Cage. That exact scene
And
happens in
John
that movie with John
Travolta.
Travolta and
Yeah,
John Travolta, where they're literally tearing each other's faces off, scratching it and stuff like that. So samesies here. They probably took that from this movie.
I guess so.
All right. Then
Bill the X-Built.
yes. And
Bill
then
the
we
movie X-Built, Miguel. Sorry, go ahead.
So we do see that the skin comes off to reveal the monster that we saw earlier with the fangs. And I was like, oh, so he was going to be the monster, which I really liked. I thought we were going to see a monster, but he turned into the monster. And this monster those teeth look really good for a low budget. I don't know what their budget was on this, but whatever it was, they got
Wikipedia
so
said
much money.
it was like 10,000 or possibly 1,000 DM. Don't know what that converts to.
Deutschmarks, yeah,
Yeah, I
who
don't
knows
know.
what.
I don't know. Honestly, I would put this higher up when it comes to like transformation practical effects than like American Werewolf in London. I thought this was like one of the best transformation scenes I've fucking seen. The way his fucking face comes
Wow.
off like that, it was great.
I think did you have a stroke while you were watching this movie? Like, or were you stroking it to this movie?
I think maybe you just go into movies wanting to hate them, and
That
when I watch a movie, I want to like it, and I look for things, and I find
I
things I
am
like.
incensed. I am
Did you
incensed
say
right now.
incest? That was the beginning
Incensed.
of the movie.
Incensed. Yeah, you are Mr. Negative Nancy when it comes to movies. And you just said that the practical effects here were better than an American Werewolf
Yeah.
in London. The
Put those two transformation scenes side by side, have an audience of random people vote on which one looks the coolest. I bet you fucking anything. I bet you $2 they pick this movie. I mean, it's fucking sick, man.
Okay, I think you may have fallen and hit your head a little bit. The scene is good. I'm not saying it's
Yeah.
not good. It's good, but it's nowhere near the level. I mean, it's really when you think about it, all they did was like they bloodied up their face and they put a bunch of plaster or whatever chemical or whatever thing it is they use, and then they just like pulled it
Yeah, and it
off.
just looks great.
Okay, but it's not as technical as
It's not about the technicalities. It's about how it
but it
looks on
also
fucking
looks good. So
video.
all you okay, you like red. You see blood, you're like, "Mwah, boing." That was your
The,
boner.
the red? What do you mean? The book by
When you
Jack
see
Ketchum?
blood,
When I see
uh,
blood, whose blood?
Jack Ketchum's blood.
Rest in peace. Oh.
R.I.P. Do you have any rare books by him?
I do.
You should sell it on this podcast, and that old man will be very, very upset. There's
Uh,
an old man who comes to the shop
what if he
all the time.
listens?
There's no way he listens. If he does, old man, if you're listening, buy the goddamn rare Jack Ketchum book and stop looky-looing every month.
He comes in like every month, just fucking eyeing this book. It's $200. It's a signed, limited edition, out of print Harold Cavill of, I think it's off season. And he's always like, I'll give you a 75 for it or something. I'm like, no, it's 200. And he doesn't know who Jack Ketchum is. He's never read anything by him. He's just someone who, when he comes in, he has to have like an expensive, nice thing because I don't know why. I don't know his life. It's just because usually when he doesn't get that one, he ends up buying some other expensive book. And I'll go like, "Oh, were you a fan of this guy?" And he'll go, "Nope, no idea who this is." And he usually doesn't even read what the book's about. He just looks at the price and just kind of like holds it for a while, and then that's what he gets. I don't know if he's reading any of these books. He never wants to talk about them. He's really grumpy all the time, and I appreciate him. I appreciate his business.
He's you in the future, is basically you're being visited by yourself in the future.
But what message is he trying to deliver?
I don't know. I don't know. That's for you to find out, bro. That's for you.
All right.
All right, so back to this movie. So Monster Tommy leaves the bathroom and grabs a machete and some small scissors. He goes to see his dad. He slices his dad's hand off and then slices his, I think, takes a machete to his face. And then his dad's face goes into the bowl of cereal. He attacks his sister with the scissors to the gut, to the eyeball. He decapitates her. All like again, all this stuff looks great. His other sister like doesn't hear any of this and says, "Bye, I'm leaving to a party." Goes and walks out to her car, opens the door, finds her dad's decapitated head in her car. Tommy comes out and stabs her and slashes her over and over again, and she's dead. This is when we see Frankie. He's picking up another friend. I forget the friend's name. They're getting ready to go to that movie. Tommy cuts up his sister with a chainsaw, arm first, then guts, and then the face. That was fucking cool. Chainsaw to the face was fucking cool.
Odd sequence of cuts though. Why do you begin with the elm?
You would start with the face, so like just to kill her
I would
immediately.
probably go with the yeah. I mean, it seems like it's going to be tricky to chainsaw someone's elm who could easily just run away, right? You don't even want to kind of disable them a bit.
Yeah,
I don't know if
I
that's
don't know.
ableist of me.
I'm
I
not
don't
saying
know.
anything. So,
Hopefully
but
not.
at this point, I was like, Jesus, this like looks brutal. This is really brutal and bloody. And he ends up picking up her head by the hole that his chainsaw just created, which I really, really appreciated. And then
What does he
Frankie,
do with the head? I forget. Does he kick it? No, I don't think so.
I don't fucking remember. I don't know if we see it. If we did, I didn't write it down.
Okay.
But Frankie and the other friend arrive. Frankie sends the other friend to go inside to get Tommy. The dude just walks right into a house, doesn't ring the doorbell, doesn't knock. He
Yeah.
deserves whatever he gets from. That's just weird behavior.
Hmm.
Um, Tommy machetes him in the neck repeatedly and then chops off his arm. And we're almost done here. Then Frankie goes inside. He sees the dead body of his friend. And then we see Monster Tommy attack him. And then Frankie stabs Tommy. And then Tommy's just kind of, Monster Tommy's just like laughing at this point. Do you remember what happens next? There's a more
Some something I
eyeball
thought was
violence.
cool was as he was killing all of his family, the camera is shot and angled in such a way that we never see his head. And we only
Right.
see the monster head once he is I think fighting Frankie at the end. It's like kept almost out of the view until then. I don't know.
Yes.
It's a little something about that that was really cool, I thought. It felt almost like slashily. Well, you never really see who's doing what.
Well, it's also kind of like Jaws, where you don't see the shark too much. When you do, you know, like you're in trouble.
Hmm.
That's what here too. They're kind of, I'm sure, like after some time, it would start to be silly if we just saw like the fangs and stuff like that. They used it really effectively. Yeah.
Yeah, and plus maybe it wasn't even him doing that because he was also directing, so maybe he just had somebody else.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
So then Tommy gets a pencil in the eye. But did you see Tommy then lifts Frankie up and slams him into hold of another corpse? Like, could you
Yes, that
imagine
was
just being
great.
placed in somebody's chest cavity?
I have that scene written. I'm struggling to recall if it's in the book version of Cognitive Lunar Activities, but the screenplay version I have that something really similar happens. Will someone s- I can't say it without spoiling a lot, but
Yeah,
something similar happens and it's so disgusting, I think. It's so cool
yeah.
to be inside an evil human.
So then Tommy raises the axe to kill Frankie, and just at that point, Frankie kicks him in the stomach, which causes him to drop the axe, and it falls into the mirror, breaking it. And as soon as that happens, Tommy's back. He's no longer Monster Tommy. But Frankie doesn't know what the fuck's happening. He grabs the axe and just chomps him in the stomach.
Yeah.
And then you want to explain what happens here? Because I was kind of
He
confused.
fucking dies. It's a really long scene of death. His guts come out, and Tommy
He's
just,
pulling him out.
well, I think they come out, and then Tommy's like pushing them back in.
But he pushes them back in, but then he stands up and he's just like pulling these guts out,
I
you
don't
know?
fucking know, man. It's an
And then he's
odd death scene.
yes, it goes on for a very long time. Like he's throwing up blood. Blood is coming from like all his pores. It's an excruciating death, but he dies. Then his head falls off, but nobody chopped it off. Frankie didn't chop it off. It just falls off. And
Just
then do you
like that
remember what
baby.
just like that baby. Do you remember what Frankie does?
No.
Frankie goes outside to his car and grabs a beer and just sits down and starts drinking it. And then we see like this woman approaching or walking in the street. We see her shoes, and all of a sudden we see it's a black trench coat, and she looks back, and it's Petra, and she just smiles. And that's the end
It's
of the movie.
one long commercial for whatever alcoholic brand they were drinking, I think.
That'd be so cool if a brand would pay for that kind of promotion. That'd be great.
I agree. I would become an alcoholic just because of that. I don't even like the taste of like beer that much, but I would drink that all day
You're like a
long.
very bad man.
That's not, I mean, that's like
That's a
booze.
that's a drink.
Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
man's drink.
Well,
Stupid.
and so that's the end of the movie Black Past.
Why do you think it's called Black Past?
I wonder if there's some sort of translation thing. I mean, this didn't have distribution, so it's not like the
Yeah.
distributor changed the name or something like that. He chose Black Past. I mean, obviously, it has to do with this death that the father did in the 100 years ago, and it's in the past. But it's a black dark, like a dark history sort of thing. Dark
Not
Past.
a great title, I don't think.
No, it doesn't
No.
really tell you what was happening in the movie.
What would you call it?
Fuck, I was just about to ask you that too. Shit.
I don't have any
Sledgehammer.
names. Sledgehammer. I would call it Sledgehammer too.
Well, because you were saying that in the Sledgehammer episode that you're happy that at least some of the deaths came by Sledgehammer, not like
Yeah.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre where none of the deaths happened. And in
Yeah.
this movie, we actually see a chainsaw murder, which is great.
I would call it Evil Dead.
Evil Deader,
Yeah, why not?
Evil or Deader. All right. So that's the movie. So would you recommend this one?
Absolutely. I would recommend it. Go on YouTube right now. Look it up. Black Past. Great movie. What about you?
Yeah, I'd recommend it as well. Um, if anything, like you're not staying for the plot. You're going for the you're coming for the practical effects.
Yeah, I wish I had watched it with somebody, like just like to talk about the effects as we were watching it. I watched it with my dogs and they don't know what I'm saying, so it was kind of a lonely experience. I do want to bring up one comment I saw on the YouTube video, which is so funny to me. Um, since someone 5 months ago posted this, I was trying to type in blast from the past, but accidentally typed black from the past, and I got to this video. Really funny to me to think of someone trying to watch the movie Blast from the Past and instead watching this. Have you ever
Great
seen
movie.
Blast from the Past?
I love that movie.
Fucking hate it.
What's wrong with you? Wow, what's wrong with that
I
movie?
liked it when I was a kid, and I tried to watch it a few years ago. Thought it sucked. Couldn't finish it.
Okay, I mean, I haven't seen it in over a decade. What was wrong with it?
It was just fucking lame. I mean, that's the best way I can describe it. It wasn't
You got
funny. It just
Brendan
was lame.
Fraser,
I
Alicia
know.
Silverstone, Christopher Walken, Sissy Spacek. You're lame.
It
You're
doesn't
lame,
hold. It
okay?
doesn't hold up, man.
I'm gonna
Try it
watch it.
again.
Next episode, I'm gonna tell you what I thought of it because
I made it.
you're
I made it like halfway through and just shut it off. I used to love that movie. It's
okay.
not great.
Okay. What would you recommend, or yeah, like what in a similar vein would you recommend for a Black Bass for somebody else to
So we
watch?
already talked about some obvious ones. I want to mention one that just came out recently, and I keep fucking the title up. So I'm gonna need some help. We saw it at Fantastic Fest. It's now on Shuttle. It's like a possession movie. Do you know what I'm talking about? It's not in English. It's by the
Oh,
guy who made Teal'c.
yeah,
What is that called?
not Terrifier, Terrified.
Teal'c. Yeah, I keep blanking on the title.
I'm looking it up right now. So Damien Rugna and When Evil Lurks.
That's it. Yes, I would recommend that movie because it has like seminal demon deadite stuff going on in it, and it's just a hell of a lot of fun. Some great effects. I don't know if it's all practical effects, but a lot of it looks like it might be, and it's just fucking gruesome and nuts.
Yeah,
And it
I
has a
think for
good
me,
story.
it's a great movie. I love that
Yeah.
movie a lot. I mean, that director, Damon Rugna, anything he makes, I'm gonna watch. Like, he had a segment in Satanic Hispanics, which was
Hmm.
great. Terrified is great.
Haven't seen it.
When Evil Lurks, I mean, so good. Do you ever see Terrified?
Not yet.
Okay, definitely recommend. But for
Okay.
me, the movie that I'd recommend to go like with this one would be Blast from the Past from 1989.
And that's Decayed Tapes, folks. You have anything to promote?
My horror confessional. Oh, depending on when this comes out, Ghoulish Book Fest.
It's coming out. Fucking asshole. I hit save. Uploading it immediately. Yeah, Ghoulish Book Fest in San Antonio, March 15th, 16th, and 17th. Go to ghoulishbookfest.com to buy a badge. If you don't want to buy a badge and you just want to shop books, that's free to do. You only need a badge if you want to go to the panels and live readings and shit like that. Come downtown San Antonio. Lots of people selling books, signing books, talking about books. If you like books, check us out.
If you like comics,
Also,
if you like getting tattoos,
yeah, those
you
two.
know,
If you like watching men with anxiety pace around a room, come on down. Um,
yes.
Leave a review of the podcast if that's something you do. I don't know what you do. I don't leave reviews of podcasts, but I sure do ask other people to do that, and they don't. But maybe now they'll do it. I don't know.
Listen, let's bribe them. If you leave a 5-star reviews of the review of the podcast, email us.
And
We'll give you something pretty.
give you $10.
No, no, we won't give you $10. You know what I was gonna say? Leave a voicemail. Send a voicemail somehow. Figure it out.
What's your
Leave a
phone number again?
voicemail. Send us a voicemail on our
210
email. What's our email address again?
316
Do you remember the email address?
0980. That's my phone number. I'll be
So now you got to delete that. Now you get a good job,
not
Max.
gonna delete shit.
What are you, Mike? What are you, fucking Mike Jones over here?
I don't know what
What?
that means.
Oh my God. The email address, I'm trying to, do you remember the email address to this? Oh, decayedpod@gmail.com. Send
Yeah.
it. So if you rate the podcast 5 stars, send us a screenshot, send us a voicemail. We'll play it on the next episode.
You can send a voicemail to an email,
Dude, you can do anything you want, man. It's
and Miguel will send you $10.
um
Thank you for tuning in. How do I sap this?
Live spooky, die spooky.